Morning again, everybody. Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup, as promised. He says, quote, "Let's get to the bottom of this, but let's not forget the bigger picture, the subsidies, contracts, legal privileges, and favoritism that are the normal state of affairs in Ottawa. Crony capitalism is at the root of this scandal. Nothing will change unless we address it." And he's talking about this tweet happened on the 12th, and he's referring to Miss Wilson-Raybould resigning from Trudeau's cabinet. So he's saying we need to get to the bottom of this, but this isn't the root of the problem. This is a byproduct of crony capitalism. And I would agree with him. Here is a February 12th article talking about new charges for SNC Lavalin in Montreal. Now, to give you the too long didn't read, basically, SNC Lavalin is charged with bribery in order to get contracts in Libya. So they bribed Muammar Gaddafi's son in order to be the chosen contractor in Libya. And in doing so, they broke the law, right? And that's part of the cost of doing business, because bribery costs money, right? So they built that into the cost of the contract, and they're saying that's the cost of doing business. But here's the problem with that. If we allow multinational companies like SNC Lavalin to have a direct ear to the Prime Minister, to lobby the Prime Minister at least 14 times directly, 14 times in the Prime Minister's office, and get them to have laws inserted into budget bills, Bill C-74, and you can check my other videos for references to that. How is that fair? If you wanted to get in the same business, it's construction, as SNC Lavalin, and bid on similar contracts, right? You have to do some certain things. There's a bar to entry, I'm sure, but would you also then be expected to have the money to pay bribes? Is that now part of the cost of doing business? And if so, you also then need to be connected enough to have the political wherewithal to have a lobbyist in Ottawa and have the ear of the Prime Minister. So you must be aware that you're going to be bribing people, right? Because that requires forethought, right? Or these new laws will just be accessed by random lawyers all the time. So we're opening it up to basically saying that now the laws are such that these criminal acts are punishable by a fine if you're a corporation. But if you're a person, don't you dare commit fraud or launder money. But if you're a corporation, well, it's only, give us $1 million and give back all the stuff, all the bad money that you earned from this nefarious plot. Right. So you cut what you earned in half and then you give half back. And right. So it's just an incredibly dodgy way to avoid the law. And it establishes clearly a two-tiered legal system. One tier for people who are connected enough to have a lawyer or the Prime Minister's ear. And I mean, SNC Lavalin had laws rewritten and attorney generals changed. This is beyond the pale for SNC Lavalin. They're not getting away with this. This is blown up far too much for them to be able, despite the fact that they're having the judiciary look at it, this is blown up for them. But fundamentally, having government fund this stuff and have laws changed needs to end. This is cronyism at its worst, right? Insider trading, cronyism, awful. That means giving your friends or associates, people that you know well, a benefit over other people. And that's opposite to transparency. It was apparent in the Wynne Liberals, and the Trudeau Liberals have been worse. Okay, the next one, this is the CTV tweet that Mr. Bernier was referring to in the first tweet. Second one, Watson, with $1 billion spent on superclusters, Ottawa has anointed at least another dozen firms to national champion status. Okay, I wanted to know what national champion meant, and I'll show you in just a second. When they come calling, you can bet the PMO will listen, whichever party is running it. Crony capitalism is the problem. Okay, so here's the Financial Post article talking about superclusters and what they are. Not superclusters, the national champion businesses. National champion businesses are business firms that are needed to furnish the economic growth the progressives can't quite bring themselves to rejoice in, but aren't yet ready to give up. So that's according to the Financial Post article writer. And I just wanted you to understand that these are businesses like Google, like SNC Lavalin, like these big companies that the government is welcoming in. Google, they partnered with to do a Toronto city, like a neighborhood in Toronto that's all connected or something to that effect. These are the big companies that they're making national champions and investing in. And what are superclusters? Superclusters here, this is the Government of Canada website. Link is in the description. You can check it out for yourself. It says the program overview, the Innovation Superclusters Initiative is investing up to $950 million to support business-led innovation superclusters with the greatest potential to energize the economy and become engines of growth. Through a small number of high-value strategic investments, this initiative is co-investing with industry in bold and ambitious proposals to strengthen Canada's most promising clusters and build superclusters at scale. So, yeah, $1 billion of government welfare, right? To superclusters and to make national champion businesses that essentially will lobby the government and press little businesses out. So do you want to work for Walmart? Because that's going to be your choice. Or Tim Hortons. US-owned Tim Hortons or US-owned Walmart, right? Because you don't get to start a business. Nope. We're going to put all of our money into national champion businesses, right? And those people are going to have direct lines to the PMO, and they're going to be able to leverage that. Next tweet. G&M, Globe and Mail editorial about Andrew Scheer falling into the easy trap of pandering to a minor and entirely symbolic Quebec government grievance that few actual voters care about. Pandering Andrew choosing not to please Quebec government, even if it's not in Canada's interests? What a shock. And I'm not going to go through that article. Link is in the description. Maxime Bernier again. Our eco-catastrophists won't like this. Earth is getting greener thanks to warmer, wetter climate and CO2 fertilization, but more importantly because of human activity. No need to destroy civilization to save the planet after all. And again, I'm not going to go through this. You can read it. It's a nasa.gov article. I'm just moving along for brevity's sake. As long as Maxime Bernier says again, as long as we have a huge interventionist government in Ottawa handing out billions in contracts, subsidies, and legal privileges every year, nothing will change. Replacing one bunch of well-connected politicians with another won't do. Crony capitalism is the problem. Right, if you replace a bunch of people who are connected to the outer layer of lobbyists and whatever, with another group of people who are connected to the same group of lobbyists and whatever, you're going to get the same result because those people have made good arguments, right? And as I've said before, they are using our laws against us, right? Well, here's precedent set here for immigration, and here's precedent set here for climate, and here's precedent set here for whatever. Once those things are set and a judge is in place, I mean, we saw things that the Premier of Ontario pushed through, had to use a notwithstanding clause because an activist liberal judge said it violated somebody's constitutional rights. And it's just freedom of speech rights. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So you've got activist judges who are trying to stop this stuff. And why? Because either they're true believers or, well, crony capitalism, right? Crony capitalism's got a lot of money. Here's Maxime Bernier again. CPC drone repeats standard party line asking everyone to support Scheer in October. I don't like Scheer either, but... And this is Bill Delago, and he says, Bernier is being paid by Trudeau to split the vote on the right. It's quite obvious. Be smart in October, please. Trudeau will destroy the country. I agree, Trudeau will destroy the country, but I hope that he's going to get like 3 seats. I hope that he gets no seats. That's how many seats I hope he gets. I don't think he'll get his seat. I don't think he'll win that. Last Bernier tweet says, quote, 40 million here, 3 million there, 286 million elsewhere. It adds up to billions of taxpayer dollars distributed every year by politicians trying to buy votes. Libs and cons are equally corrupt. The problem is crony capitalism. And this is an article talking about Canada's handing BlackBerry 40 million to help it develop self-driving car technology. Yeah, that was a lot further along in 2014, wasn't it? Weren't they saying it's just around the corner? 2016, 2017, they had a Pittsburgh trials, and that didn't go well, I guess. Self-driving cars were not great. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've made leaps and bounds. I just haven't seen it because I've been watching Canadian politics too closely. That is certainly possible. All right, well, that's Maxime Bernier's Twitter roundup done. Sorry if I got too deep into the SNC Lavalin stuff. I find it so interesting that we, as Canadians, seem just fine with allowing a company to have direct access to the Prime Minister, have that Prime Minister then allow a non-justice minister to introduce changes to the criminal code to help this business, SNC Lavalin. And then that same Prime Minister fire the AG, the Attorney General, who said, no, I'm not going to use that tool in order to put in place somebody who would. And then, this is the best part, SNC Lavalin has more charges, right? Like there's nothing that Trudeau can do to help it with this. Like this is extra charges. This is going to be 3 years in the making. Now, if SNC Lavalin survives this, they've got the next batch of charges that's going to, if they get convicted on, then they won't be able to bid for government contracts. But maybe Trudeau will fast track this and say, oh yeah, we'll use this other clause, this nice little extra change to the criminal code, remediation agreement, that will allow us to just wallpaper over this criminality and allow SNC Lavalin, in the guise of keeping jobs, to continue committing criminal behavior and competing unfairly with every other business because they don't have to abide by the laws that you guys do. Unbelievable, right? It's just, that's the scandal. That's the scandal. Are we going to accept a two-tier legal system in Canada? Are we going to accept a two-tier business environment where if you're connected or if you don't have millions of dollars to dedicate to being connected in Ottawa, don't bother? Scary. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Check out the People's Party of Canada.ca. I think Maxime Bernier could possibly maybe fix this. I think he's got the best shot. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. It's Friday.